Hello, I'm Mackenzie Henderson in for Mike Mickle. Welcome to INN News. We begin with the latest in the child sex abuse scandal involving former Penn State assistant coach Jerry Sandusky, who's now out on bail. He's breaking his silence with NBC's Bob Costas, and he says he's no pedophile.
I say that I am innocent of those charges.
Innocent, completely innocent, and falsely accused in every aspect?
Well, I could say that, I have done some of those things. I have horsed around with kids. I have showered after workouts. I have hugged them, and I have touched their leg without intent of sexual contact.
And also during that interview, Costas asked Sandusky if then head football coach Joe Paterno had ever spoken to him about his behavior or expressed disapproval. Sandusky says no. Paterno was fired amid allegations he didn't do enough to stop the abuse after someone reported an incident to him. And in the wake of this scandal, the CEO of the youth group founded by Sandusky has resigned. Jack Rakovitz served as Second Mile CEO for 28 years. Police say Sandusky abused boys the organization was supposed to help. The Second Mile board is promising an internal investigation. As for the charity's future, interim CEO David Woodall has this to say.
Can this organization survive?
I think that it is a challenge that we're looking at right now. I think it would be unrealistic for me to say that it's not going to be a tough challenge. What we're doing is we're meeting with all the people we sponsor and all the people that sponsor us.
He says they will do everything they can to cooperate with police. Police in New York moved in and cleared out Occupy Wall Street protesters at this private park early this morning. It's been almost 2 months since the encampment started. Police arrested at least 100 people who refused to leave. Mayor Bloomberg says it was time for the park to be cleared.
We have an obligation to enforce the laws today to make sure that everybody has access to the park so everybody can protest. That's the First Amendment, and it's number one on our minds. We also have a similar, just as important obligation to protect the health and safety of the people in the park.
City officials briefly reopened the park after it had been cleaned, but police shut it back down after city officials learned of a court order barring the city from enforcing some rules at the park. Mayor Bloomberg says the park will remain closed until city officials have more information on the order. Time now for Your Vote 2012 with what some are calling Herman Cain's Rick Perry moment. A Milwaukee newspaper reporter stumped the Republican presidential candidate with a question about Libya.
So you agreed with President Obama on Libya or not?
Okay, Libya. I got to go back and see. Got all this stuff twirling around in my head.
I have to ask you about Libya.
Yes.
You're on YouTube today.
Yes.
What happened yesterday? What happened with that interview?
Here's what happened. It was an editorial board. The questions were coming from all sides, all angles. The economy, national security, your 999 plan.
INN's Mike Mickle gets to the bottom of what happened during an interview of his own with Herman Cain. Tune in to the Independent News Network for that tomorrow. We head overseas now, where things are once again a bit unsettled with Iran and massive flooding that's affecting thousands of migrant workers. Here's your global news now. A veiled threat from Iran after a report from the International Atomic Energy Agency. Iran says it may reassess its policy of cooperation with the agency after a report it described as politically motivated. The UN's nuclear watchdog accused Tehran of working to develop nuclear warheads for use with medium-range missiles. The mammoth flooding that has deluged much of Thailand, killing hundreds, appears to be subsiding, but steep challenges remain for displaced residents and migrant workers abandoned by their employers. One heavily industrial province employs hundreds of thousands of migrant workers from Myanmar. But when floodwaters overtook numerous factories in the area, some business owners simply fled, leaving employees without their documents or pay. A Soyuz spacecraft with 3 men on board is on its way to the International Space Station. It launched yesterday from Kazakhstan. One NASA astronaut is on board. They will be replacing the current ISS crew who return to Earth next week. The 3 men are to remain aboard the space station until March. That's your global news now. And check out these breathtaking images from space. The photos were taken from the International Space Station between August and October. A German videographer put them together in a time-lapse video. Part of the video shows the northern lights over the United States. Just gorgeous there. Back here on planet Earth and just in time for the holiday travel season, higher gas prices. Crude oil prices have increased by 20% since the beginning of October. They reached the $100 a barrel mark this week, the first time since July. This means prices at the pump are likely to go up. Some experts say if this trend continues, $4 a gallon gas is possible. That hasn't happened since 2008. Lowe's hits a low when it comes to earnings and why fewer people are expected in the stores over the holidays. That's as Ryan Bass gets back to business.
Lowe's reports its third quarter earnings dropped 44%. The home improvement retailer had a modest improvement in same-store sales, but store closings overshadowed the gains. Lowe's officials say homeowners are cautious about starting renovation projects when home prices are still weak. For many travelers this year, going home for Thanksgiving means passing through Los Angeles International Airport. Travel website Orbit says LAX will be the nation's busiest airport during the next week's holiday. All airports will be busier than normal, but Orbit says Chicago O'Hare and Orlando International are also expected to be pretty packed. The website looked at how many flights are booked at the top 50 airports in the country between November 23rd and the 27th. Traffic, crowded parking lots, long lines at the register. This year, more shoppers are saying, forget it. They're skipping the stores. Instead, this year, Americans will spend almost $60 billion shopping online for the holidays this year. That's a 15% increase from last year. Experts say the popularity of smartphones and tablet computers is giving us more freedom to buy online. And for many looking to pinch every penny, the internet makes comparison shopping easier. For Back to Business, I'm Ryan Bass.
Holiday sales are no child's play, especially for Toys R Us. The toy store announced it will open its doors at 9 p.m. Thanksgiving night, just like Walmart. That's an hour earlier than last year. The store also released its Black Friday circular with holiday deals. Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords has a lot to be thankful for this year. 10 months ago, she nearly died when a lone gunman shot her in the head at a public event. Since that time, she's made remarkable strides in her recovery, and now she has a new book just released today. It's called Gabby, a story of courage and hope. It chronicles the relationship between Giffords and her husband, former astronaut Mark Kelly. It also tells of her political career, his rise from combat pilot to space shuttle commander, and the shooting in Tucson that killed 6 people and hurt 13 others, including Giffords. The vampire book series that became a blockbuster is back. The newest Twilight movie, Breaking Dawn Part 1, hits theaters this week. People in Los Angeles got a special early look at the movie at last night's premiere. Here you can see the stars of the film on the red carpet. Hundreds of fans began lining up last Thursday ahead of the premiere in hopes of getting a look at the stars. Not vampires, not wolves. In many parts of the country, this time of year, deer are a major threat. They are mating and running into roads. One Rhode Island woman had to be taken to the hospital after a large deer crashed the windshield of a car she was in. The woman is very lucky. Wait until you see the pictures. Parker Gavigan reports.
A gigantic hole ripped through this sedan. The windshield shattered and roof peeled back like an aluminum can when a deer came crashing through. David Cady was one of the first to stop and help out.
I looked at the passenger and she's all covered with blood. Then I looked in the car and you can see the deer in the back seat. And the deer was still alive. It was still kicking, it was moving.
The large buck collided with the Buick and 2 elderly women while they were driving west on a busy Route 116 in Lincoln Monday morning, just shy of 9 o'clock.
The driver actually got out of the car, and she was fine. She was, shaken up, but the passenger looked like she was in shock. Police and fire were here very quick. I have to commend them how quickly they arrived. They were here in less than 2 minutes after the call.
Witnesses say the deer eventually died in the back seat. While we're talking about deer, take a look at this dash cam video of Hearn County, Michigan. A frightened deer stood frozen in the middle of a busy road for about a half an hour. Apparently, it was in a state of shock following an accident. In order to save the animal, an officer picked up the doe and placed it on the side of the road. The deer eventually relaxed and sprinted into the woods. Well, can you believe next week is Thanksgiving? If you haven't hit the grocery store yet, stick around. We have tips to help you prepare that ginormous meal. And looking ahead to Christmas, one big tree is already in place, who it belonged to and what it took to get it there. Also, still to come, what not to drink for women trying to lose weight. That is especially important while you fight all those holiday temptations. INN continues after this.